The fjords of Scandinavia echoed with an unfamiliar sound. It was not the call of the gulls, nor the creak of ice. It was the hammering of longships, a symphony of war. Jarl Sigvard the Red, his eyes burning with ambition, oversaw the preparations. He was a giant of a man, his beard as red as the blood he craved. His name was whispered in fear, his legend growing with each passing season. A fleet of longships, sleek and deadly, awaited their master's command. Sigvard had a vision, a burning desire for conquest that mirrored the ambitions of his ancestors. He looked upon his people hardened by the harsh Scandinavian winters, their faces etched with the stories of their gods. They were Vikings, the scourge of the North Sea, and soon the world would tremble before them. The wind howled, a siren's call from the west. It carried the scent of fertile lands, ripe for the taking. Sigvard raised his hand, his voice booming across the assembled warriors. "We sail with the tide," he roared, his words echoing across the water. "Destiny awaits us in the south, glory and riches beyond imagination." A roar of approval erupted from the throats of his men. They were eager to unleash their fury upon unsuspecting lands. With a mighty crack, the sails unfurled, catching the north wind like the wings of a hunting hawk. The longships surged forward, embarking on a journey that would reshape the destiny of nations. Their raven banners snapped in the wind, a dark omen for the world that lay ahead. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of blood orange and fiery red. It was an omen, a taste of the violence to come. As darkness enveloped the fleet, a sense of anticipation gripped every warrior's heart. They were leaving behind the familiar fjords, venturing into the unknown. But fear was a stranger to these men. They were Vikings, and they sailed with the wrath of the north wind at their backs. The news of the Viking approach spread like wildfire through the Frankish countryside. Panic seized the hearts of the populace. They had heard tales of these northern barbarians, whispered in hushed tones, tales of their brutality, their relentless savagery. The very air seemed to crackle with fear. Paris, the crown jewel of the Frankish kingdom, braced itself for the onslaught. Its high walls, once symbols of impenetrable security, now seemed woefully inadequate. Sigvard's fleet appeared on the horizon, a menacing spectacle of black hulls and crimson sails. The sight sent chills down the spines of the city's defenders. Their numbers were overwhelming, their longships gliding effortlessly up the Seine. The Vikings disembarked, their presence heralded by the chilling sound of their war horns. They fanned out across the countryside, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Villages were plundered, monasteries ransacked. The earth itself seemed to tremble before their advance. The siege of Paris began in earnest. Sigvard, a master tactician, orchestrated the assault with ruthless efficiency. He understood the value of fear, of breaking the enemy's spirit before the first blow was struck. The Vikings bombarded the city walls with a storm of stones and fire. Their archers, deadly accurate, picked off defenders from afar. The Franks fought bravely, desperately trying to repel the invaders. But the ferocity of the Viking attack, fueled by an insatiable hunger for glory and plunder, proved too much to withstand. The Viking fleet, laden with the spoils of Francia, sailed south. The warm winds of the Iberian Peninsula beckoned, promising new conquests. The southern coast, with its rich cities and fertile lands, seemed ripe for the taking. However, Sigvard and his men were not the only power vying for control of this strategic land. The Moors, having established their dominion across North Africa and into Iberia, presented a formidable challenge. The clash between Viking savagery and Moorish might was inevitable. Word of the northern raiders reached the ears of the emirs. They recognized the threat posed by these newcomers, their hunger for conquest mirroring their own. The Moors, renowned for their military prowess and tactical brilliance, prepared for war. The two forces collided in a series of bloody skirmishes and full-scale battles. The sun-drenched plains of Iberia became battlegrounds, echoing with the clash of steel and the cries of dying men. The Vikings, accustomed to the cold north, found themselves tested by the searing heat and unfamiliar tactics of their enemies. But their ferocity never wavered. They adapted, learning to exploit the weaknesses of the Moorish cavalry with their swift, brutal attacks. Sigvard's legend grew with each victory. He was a whirlwind of fury on the battlefield, his axe cleaving through enemy ranks like a farmer harvesting wheat. With Iberia blooded but unconquered, Sigvard set his sights on a new prize, the heart of the Holy Roman Empire. He had tasted victory in Francia, challenged the might of the Moors, and now he craved a greater challenge. The rich cities and fertile lands of the Rhineland beckoned, promising unimaginable wealth and glory. The Holy Roman Empire, a patchwork of kingdoms and duchies, stood as a bulwark of Christianity against the pagan Vikings. Its emperors, though often embroiled in internal squabbles, commanded vast armies and formidable defences. News of the approaching Viking horde sent shockwaves through the imperial court. Frantic messengers were dispatched, calling for levies to be raised and defences strengthened. But time was a luxury they could not afford. Sigvard's longships, now reinforced with captured Frankish and Moorish vessels, sailed up the Rhine River. They moved with terrifying speed, bypassing fortified towns and castles. Their objective was clear: to strike at the heart of the empire, to bring the emperor to his knees. The Vikings, masters of riverine warfare, utilized their shallow draft ships to devastating effect. They appeared as if from nowhere, launching lightning-fast raids on unsuspecting villages and monasteries.